All right, guys, happy Thursday. Right off the bat, I want to say something honestly and truthfully and without fear of judgment or shame. I miss Kamala. I miss lunch over a word salad. I miss exploring her genealogy, all of it. But it's okay because today we will at least be able to speak about somebody that is related to her who has exemplified perhaps even more unique characteristics to the world. And that person is Jussie Smollett, the first person to survive a hate attack executed by himself. Plus, we're going to discuss Nikki Haley, who is going scorched earth against Tulsi Gabbard. Why? Because Nikki Haley sucks and she's a war hawk. And Bibi Netanyahu, the ICC wants to arrest him. That's official now. So let's get started right away. Welcome back to Candace. Look, it's a heavy subject, but the history of hate within America is a very complicated and uncomfortable subject. Slavery, segregation, and then in 2019, people suddenly had to conduct hate crimes against themselves. And one man stepped to the plate immediately to do this, and his name was Jussie Smollett. So I'm going to jog your memory of everything that took place before that fateful wintry night on January 29th, 2019. The FBI had actually already been contacted by Jussie Smollett because someone, you may have forgotten this, and we still don't know exactly who, had mailed him racist hate mail. This was the letter that Jussie Smollett received to his set. And you can see, it looks like it's been written by a 3-year-old, but you can see what it says. It says, "You will die, black F word, beep. You will die, black, beep." And then the 3-year-old drew a gun. This is very scary to receive. Could you imagine Jussie Smollett receiving this? And then you can see there's a person with curly hair that's obviously supposed to be Jussie Smollett. And I'm not even sure if that's a tree. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's very clear. And you look at the return address there. Yeah, that return address says MAGA. MAGA. Okay. Now, Jussie was obviously terrified because, like I said, someone, and we still don't know who, had mailed him that, even though Jussie himself is mixed race. His father is 100% Jewish and his mother is black. Here is a photo of Jussie with his parents growing up. But still, they wanted to make him apparently the target of their hatred for black people. And I guess they decided to pick this barely known gay actor. And Jussie was also terrified because that letter had a white substance in it. I forgot to mention that a white substance was found in that letter. So what was it? Well, maybe it was anthrax. Imagine how terrified he was. It did trigger a hazmat response on set as authorities had to deal with the strange chemical. Who would want to kill this flamboyant actor in such a demented way? Well, it turned out after investigation that substance was aspirin. But the would-be aspirin assassins were still on the loose. About a week later, before Jussie could even come up for air to process the trauma of that would-be crime, the criminals found him. They found Jussie in the middle of a polar vortex in Chicago in the wee hours of the morning, about 2 a.m. Jussie, as you may recall, was just on a walk to do what people do at 2 a.m. in the morning. They go to get a Subway sandwich in the middle of a polar vortex. And as he was heading home back to his apartment, 2 white guys wearing a mask jumped out and attacked him. And they said, rather mysteriously, "This is MAGA country." I'm just delivering you guys the facts here. I know we're all a little bit traumatized, but this is exactly what happened to him. They also decided to throw bleach on him. You're asking yourself why? Well, to turn him white, obviously, because it's MAGA country. So you have to start turning black people white by throwing bleach on them. And then they put a noose around his neck, presumably to hang him, I don't know, off of a Chicago skyscraper or something. Jussie bravely fought back and escaped their attack. He made it back to his apartment and he phoned the police. And when the police arrived, he still had that noose around his neck and he still also had the Subway sandwich in his hand, which led some people to ask some immediate questions about the attack, going, "Why did you still have the sandwich?" Well, what kind of a sandwich was it? Maybe it was really good, guys. Anyways, Jussie, in all of this confusion, sat down with ABC News and assured people that there was absolutely no funny business here. He was absolutely telling the truth. And here he is sitting down with Robin Roberts of ABC. Take a listen.
Who says empire? this MAGA country ties a noose around your neck and pours bleach on you, and this is just a friendly fight, I will never be the man that this did not happen to. I am forever changed. I have fought for love. I'm an advocate. I respect too much the people who I am now one of those people who have been attacked in any way. You do such a disservice when you lie about things like this.
If the attackers are never found, how will you be able to heal?
I don't know. Let's just hope that they are. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's not go there yet. Let's
I'm sorry, guys. I just need a second. There's just so much trauma coming up listening to that story. Anyways, gratefully, an unexpected plot twist occurred. The would-be aspirin assassins we were able to locate them. In fact, they turned themselves in, and they did not look how the public had really imagined them looking after hearing his story. We learned that their names were Abel and Ola Osundairo. They were two Chicago-born, big, black Nigerian brothers. And, you know, I'm a Nigeria stan. You guys know that. I love Nigerians. And they had a very different story, very honest people, good values. For them, this was just a day at the office. They were asked to do this. It was just hard work. Take a listen to what they said happened that evening.
They took our beautiful bench. This is where we waited for Jussie to come before we attacked them. So we got here with 10 minutes to spare, and we had to plan our escape route to survey the land. His building is actually right here, right above the stairs that we're going to attack him at. We made sure we got there at 2 a.m. sharp.
On the dot.
On the dot. We had no phones because he did not want us to bring any phones. He said, so we don't lose them. I don't know if that's really the reason, but you can deduce your own reason. So 2 a.m., he was nowhere to be found. He was not there. So we were like, damn, what do? We didn't have no way of contacting him. He had no way of contacting us. So we waited here for about, what? 4 minutes?
It was about 4
minutes,
minutes, but it felt like forever.
Because it was cold as balls. So I saw him out the corner of my eye, and I was like, okay, that's him. Let's go. We gotta go get this Empire fat. Yeah, that's him. That's him. Is that him?
That's that neck.
That's that neck.
Get that neck.
Oh, he's moving fast. Come on, let's get him.
Get that neck.
Let's get him. As we crossed the street, we said hey to get his attention.
Hey, Nick.
Hey! He turned around, looked at us, and that's when we started yelling the famous slurs he wanted us to yell. Hey!
Aren't you that Empire?
Hey, Empire fat Nick! It's MAGA country.
Yeah.
And then he said, what did you say to me? And then that's when I threw the first punch at him. I held the blow, because I didn't want to hurt him, of course, so I made it look real, but I held it. Then we started tussling, moving around, and then I threw him to the ground. He wanted it to look like he fought back. That was very important for him.
Someone in the chat, people are asking, is this real? Yes, that's real. Well, that is actually the Osundairo brothers taking Fox News through what actually happened that night after they were hired. Again, they weren't trying to commit a crime. They were hired by a guy to commit a crime against him as a hoax. Like I said, these brothers are just working a hard day at work. I told you, Nigerians work hard, period. They're also honest people, as you can see. So they're just reenacting what they were hired to do, and that was their story. We knew Jussie was upset, they said, because there wasn't a big public response to the letter that got sent to him from the toddler. And they said that, according to them, he also sent the letter to himself. Now, there's some evidence there, because remember, that letter did come from MAGA. It doesn't say MAGA country. That could be MAGA city. I don't know. I don't know what that is, but there is some proof that these two things are attached. So they took on the job. Yes, 100%. That is real, you guys. After an investigation, the police sided with the Unsandiro brothers. I'm pleased to hear that because they are hilarious and this is really funny. Jussie Smollett was then arrested and charged in February with 16 felony accounts related to making false reports that he was assaulted by 2 men. But then Kim Foxx, the unbelievably corrupt attorney general, moved to drop all 16 charges against him in March. She's connected to the Obamas, Kamala Harris. Everybody knows she's unbelievably corrupt, and she mysteriously dropped all the charges against him, said, you know what, he paid his bail, he served some community service, that's it. Understandably, the public was completely outraged. They were outraged because Jussie basically tried to inspire a race riot, blaming this is MAGA country, staging a hoax against himself when everybody was saying, oh, Trump supporters are racist. He did this, and they were just going to allow him to walk scot-free. So then a special prosecutor's office intervened, and they moved to bring the charges back against the actor in February of 2020. Then there was a trial. The evidence was heard. A jury heard the evidence, heard the Unsandiro brothers testified to what they did, because they were just like, I'm just trying to work. We're just here to make it in this city. I got hired for a job and I did it. And Jussie was obviously convicted of 5 counts of disorderly conduct, ordered him to jail for 150 days, but then he was released just 6 days later pending an appeal. Okay, so he appeals it. The appellate courts do not decide in his favor. They upheld the initial conviction. So then he appealed again to the Supreme Court of Illinois, and this time they decided in his favor. That brings us to today. That's all over the news. The Supreme Court of Illinois has decided in Jussie Smollett's favor. Now, to be clear, the Supreme Court did not find him not guilty of staging a racist and homophobic attack against himself. That was not what was at issue. Rather, his lawyers used a technicality, and it was actually a very smart legal argument. It was very sound, saying essentially that once the Attorney General's office dropped the charges after Kim Foxx was corrupt, and obviously he had a leg into that office, a special prosecutor should not have been able to bring the charges back. Essentially, they were making a double jeopardy argument, and the Supreme Court found that to be sound. And so now he's done. He's a free man after serving 6 days in prison. Now, I want to be clear, if Jussie was white and not Jewish and black, we'd probably be talking about white supremacy and the corruption of the court system, which allowed this man who was guilty as sin to walk free. But like I said, because he's mixed and only, of course, says that he's black publicly, because that's what everybody does. America is so racist that when any person is biracial, they always just want you to know that they're black, like Colin Kaepernick, this guy. Okay, we get it. We're not going to hear anything more from the media. But the question is, why would Jussie do all of this? There is an important lesson in all of this. Is he truly just a psychopath who is desperate for attention? Well, I don't think so. Let's not forget what Judge Joe Brown told me when he was on this show, connecting the dots here and saying, Jussie Smollett is related to Kamala Harris's family. I'm going to show you that clip to jog your memory. Take a listen.
You know, one of her relatives by marriage, his name is Jussie Smollett, the one that got caught up with that fraud thing. He's her nephew by marriage. Okay? You get this little picture, a family connection and the noose around the neck. And by the way, I interviewed several Chicago detectives and police on that, and I happen to know one that's a cop. He's back in the DMV area now. And Jussie and the bunch had been planning this for months, and they used to discuss it at this particular athletic club, and everybody knew it. And they got pictures of Jussie Smollett buying this noose during Halloween season at a costume shop. They've got it on video, and on security cameras, you can see him putting the noose around his own neck. And he had met with Kamala just before that, and she and Cory Booker, this is the same day when he flew into Chicago. They had been working on something that Conyers came up with in 1997 that is now modified and introduced as the Emmett Till anti-lynch bill.
Wow.
Remember the neck?
Yes.
And the whole thing, they went off and then they had to withdraw it because of the fraud that came out.
Wow.
Well, see, this is something they're trying to do. And maybe this will give you an idea of how they're sneaking around here. The Emmett Till anti-lynch bill has nothing to do with black people.
No bill they put up has anything to do with black people.
No.
Or just the headline. But then when you read it.
The headline does.
Yeah.
But what it does is it puts into the American federal criminal laws for the first time sexual orientation as a victim category for criminal offenses.
What he is saying here is actually really important and something that I have been recognizing over the years, which is that our government is playing blackface. From Obama to Kamala to Jussie Smollett, people that are involved in all of these scandals are essentially using black emotion. But whose rights are they actually perpetuating throughout American society? Actually, they're removing most American rights, and they seem hell-bent on furthering LGBTQ causes. It's astonishing. What he is saying essentially is that our government, and this would explain why they did not want him to spend even one night in prison. 6 was way too many. They did everything to drop all of these charges. He's saying this was a plot, and our government is essentially executing social false flags on American soil, that the government is in on it. Essentially, that Jussie Smollett was a government-paid actor, a government person who was supposed to go out there, sell the part like he did, cry with tears, so that they could quickly jam through legislation, just like they did with the Matt Laramie case when I explained to you guys what actually happened in that case. And yet GLAAD saw an opportunity and people said, well, this is so heinous and so crazy, we're just going to be emotional and say that we're going to pass through various legislations. Exactly what happened with 9/11. Oh, this is I'm not going to say a false flag, but it's such a big situation that we just instantly have to get this jammed through Congress. Pay attention to these sorts of things, emotional engineering, and the government seizing more power for itself and more power for different groups like the LGBTQ community, while other Americans are made to suffer. It is fascinating, and that is exactly what the lesson is in the Jussie Smollett case. I believe firmly that this was another government-failed false flag operation. All right, guys, before we get into Tulsi Gabbard and Nikki Haley, I want to remind you about Nimi Skincare. You guys know I absolutely love them. This episode is sponsored by them. They are my favorite skincare brand. I use it every single day and night. Nimi has come to be known as America's skincare company because they formulate and manufacture all of their skincare products here in the USA while supporting pro-American causes and organizations. Nimi Skincare offers true luxury skincare at affordable prices since they deliver directly to your door, and they cut out the big box retailer middleman. Nimi has everything that you need to build an awesome daily skincare regimen to cleanse, brighten, protect, and help fight the key signs of aging. Another reason that I love them is that they are a Christian-led company that stands firm in their values of faith, family, and freedom. So sign up right now at NimiSkincare.com for a subscription to save 15% on your routine, and you'll save an additional 5% if you use code Candace at checkout. Plus, you'll receive a free gift on every third order. If you aren't sure where to start, you can take their skincare quiz to find the perfect routine for your skin type. That's Nimi, N-I-M-I, skincare.com, promo code Candace today. All right, I guess first, this is kind of breaking news, obviously. Matt Gaetz just withdrew his name from attorney general consideration. Now, this was the big one. I was actually very keen because of the media reaction to see him go through entirely with this. So we found this out just via a tweet. This is what Matt Gaetz tweeted. He tweeted, I had excellent meetings with senators yesterday. I appreciate their thoughtful feedback and the incredible support of so many. While the momentum was strong, it is clear that my confirmation was unfairly becoming a distraction to the critical work of the Trump-Vance transition. There was no time to waste on a needlessly protracted Washington scuffle. Thus, I'll be withdrawing my name from consideration to serve as Attorney General. Trump's DOJ must be in place and ready on day one. I remain fully committed to see that Donald J. Trump is the most successful president in history. I will forever be honored that President Trump nominated me to lead the Department of Justice, and I am certain that he will save America. I was disappointed by this because I wanted someone who had been unfairly targeted by the DOJ like Matt Gaetz was following January 6th when they went after his family, quite literally caught in an entire scandal and proven that he was telling the truth when he said that a former DOJ employee basically reached out and tried to extort him and his father for millions of dollars to make the case go away. I mean, this is crazy corruption, and it really takes people that have suffered from the corruption to go in with a vengeance and clean things up. But he is correct. We knew it was going to be a protracted trial. We knew that they were accusing him of sex trafficking minors, all of these things. Now, they closed that investigation eventually, but this was all going to get dredged back up, obviously, throughout the confirmation process, making it very long. And you can just imagine, I thought this was going to be akin to the Brett Kavanaugh hearing. Like, they were just not going to stop, because when the Department of Justice does not want somebody in its ranks, well, they put on quite a show. Like I said, like they did for the Brett Kavanaugh hearings. They were like, nope, we do not want this to happen. Who do we have to pull out from 30 years ago? And so I feel like he sort of just gave up here. But I also think that there may have been some things that he just didn't want to have publicized, because it's quite painful. I mean, you have Brett Kavanaugh who's up there having to say, I drank beer. Yeah, I like beer. And everyone trying to make it seem like it's so scandalous that you have a Supreme Court justice that likes beer. And now you have Matt Gaetz. They were saying that he partied, that he did cocaine. And at a certain point, you have to wonder if he was just going, is this really going to be worth it in the end? Like, to have every single thing and every single person throughout my life basically pulled in front of me, have people making allegations that aren't even true, that ultimately I could potentially not even be confirmed. So you'll have all of that, and it'll be a stain on your reputation, and then I won't even be confirmed. So you can understand why he maybe, shirked away from it. But I'm not happy about it. Some people are saying that it's because Congress was actually looking into him, and then once Trump sort of said, okay, I actually am naming you as the Attorney General, then he suddenly said, oh, I've got to quit Congress. He resigned from Congress, and so that investigation closed, and now he's kind of, now we could say resigning, but not going through with this process. And so it's another investigation that won't happen. We'll never know. What we do know is that he has been a staunch ally to the cause. I am now keen to see who he will put in that position, because these appointments really matter. And not all the appointments have been great. But like I said, I want people that have a vengeance, the people that we know are not a part of the deep state apparatus, because the deep state doesn't go after the deep state. Which brings us to Tulsi Gabbard. Man, that is another nomination that is considerably upsetting the deep state. And the deep state is upset when they send out Nikki Haley, who is just someone that is just implausibly unlikable. I mean, I think she is perfectly akin to Hillary Clinton, except Hillary Clinton is much sharper than Nikki Haley is. It is just unbelievable to see her attack Tulsi Gabbard, who Trump has appointed as the head of the Department of National Intelligence. She doesn't want this to happen. She's freaking out about it. Now, remind you, Tulsi Gabbard has actually served this nation. Okay, she's served this nation, was willing to die overseas for our freedoms. Here is what Nikki Haley, who belongs to the war hawks, who belongs to the deep state and does everything to defend and protect the deep state, has to say about Tulsi Gabbard's appointment. Take a listen.
She tried to limit Trump's war powers against Iran. She tried to cut our annual defense budget so that we couldn't punish Iran and hinder their influence. Reminder, Iran is our #1 sponsor of terrorism, and Tulsi Gabbard was defending Iran. She went to Syria in 2017 for a photo op with Bashar al-Assad while he was massacring his own people. She said she was skeptical that he was behind the chemical weapons attacks. For her to say that Assad was not behind that, literally everything she said about that were Russian talking points. Every bit of that. That was Russian propaganda. After Russia invaded Ukraine, Tulsi Gabbard literally blamed NATO.
Because it was NATO's fault.
Our Western alliance that's responsible for countering Russia. She blamed NATO for the attack on Ukraine. And the Russians and the Chinese echoed her talking points and her interviews on Russian and Chinese television. Tulsi Gabbard pushed for dropping charges against WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange and pardoning National Security Agency contractor Edward Snowden, both whom were accused of leaking highly sensitive U.S. secrets that put Americans in danger. She called for Trump to end the destructive trade war with China. So now she's defended Russia, she's defended Syria, she's defended Iran, and she's defended China. Now, she has not denounced any of these views. None of them. She hasn't taken one of them back. DNI, Department of National Intelligence. This is not a place for a Russian, Iranian, Syrian, Chinese sympathizer. DNI has to analyze real threats. Are we comfortable with someone like that at the top of our national intelligence agencies?
I'm Tulsi Gabbard, and I approve this message. I mean, all the stuff she's saying here, I'm like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. Yeah, she called out NATO. The reason that we're in this situation is because NATO is expanding into Putin's territory. You mean she had the audacity to tell the truth about what we were doing overseas? I wonder what prompted her to do that. Maybe it was the fact that she was willing to go die overseas, and she recognized this corruption. Oh, my God. She said we should pardon Edward Snowden. Edward Snowden, the brave American who stood up and told America that the NSA was illegally spying on us. And then he had to run and suddenly he lives in Russia. He should have been pardoned a long time ago. What am I supposed to be upset with her about this? Oh my, it's even worse than that. She said that we should pardon Julian Assange. Oh yeah, the WikiLeaks founder who leaked all of the government information, letting us know that our government was involved in corrupt operations overseas and lying about what was happening as they were killing civilians in Afghanistan. My goodness. No way. It's an act of treason against the deep state, because what this means is that if she gets in there, the deep state won't be able to do such corrupt things. Did you hear what Nikki is telling you? And regarding Syria, yeah, I think we should all have some questions. I'm going to do an episode on that, guys. Don't worry. Well, probably next week. We should really talk about that, because they say there's like basically two things. Never ask a woman her weight, and never ask the United States government what the hell it is we are doing in Syria. Okay, we have no idea what we're doing in Syria. It's question marks. And if you listen to Assad, by the way, and he's talking about how there's mass killings of Christians, which keeps happening everywhere, by the way. We just are co-sponsors to murdering Christians everywhere, while Christians in the West are totally asleep to what's the suffering of the Christians in the East. There's always an explanation for why Christians in the East are being mass murdered. And he says, according to Assad, he is saying that Israel and America are behind this, the murder of Christians that are happening there. I think we should probably re-up this conversation since our government refuses to give us an answer. And there were a lot of questions that were swirling around that chemical attack. So what she's saying is that Tulsi Gabbard has a spine, and she's willing to look at our government, and she understands that our government has in the past taken part in false flag operations, gotten caught taking part in false flag operations, and she's willing to question and examine the mainstream narrative that is given to us by the CIA. Oh no, I really hope she doesn't get appointed. I mean, Nikki Haley, she's such a ridiculous person. Just like Kamala, by the way. You have a woman who comes from Indian parents that settle here in America after doing a stop in Canada. Very shady background, shady history. She also slept around a bit. That is a known fact. Her as she was running for office, her various affairs and the lawsuits that were involved, because she was actually, one of her affairs got muddled inside of a lawsuit, all came out. So she's basically like the Republican Kamala Harris, extremely inauthentic. She's sitting there reading notes as she's attacking Tulsi Gabbard. She's like reading her CIA notes. She's like, Nikki Haley was going to say that Edward Snowden should be pardoned. Yeah. That's the government we want. That's why we didn't vote for you, because you think that there's something problematic about that. You're a deep state stooge. They likely have blackmail on you, who knows? But you also, Nikki Haley, have that shell complex. Like, it just seems like anybody can download any position into you, and you just say whatever it is that they want you to say. Like, you're just a total operative. And I got to witness that firsthand. I did an event with her. You're not allowed to ask her a single question off script. She freaks out. Her team freaks out if somebody asks her a question off script, because she's not intelligent enough to turn around and answer. And that's why Vivek embarrassed her on the stage when she was running for president. Vivek completely embarrassed her when he told her to just name several regions in Ukraine, and she couldn't do it. So watch out for that woman, and that should make you want to vote for Tulsi more than ever before, because it sounds like Tulsi doesn't want war with Iran, and the deep state desperately wants it. And so they're sending their people out to attack Tulsi for entirely no reason. But I'll tell you something, if you're willing to die overseas for your country in the way that she was, she's probably not going to be willing to send our sons and our daughters to die overseas for causes that are not actually going to help the American people any. And that's really been the story of the last 50 years in America. I don't know whose country we're dying for, but it certainly is in America. All right, guys, before we get into this next story, a couple of things hilarious going on in Australia. I want to remind you about the wellness company because Trump is back in office and RFK Jr. is taking over the CDC, the NIH, and the FDA. RFK Jr. even posted this. The FDA's war on public health is about to end, calling out their suppression of treatments like ivermectin and essential vitamins. The timing could not be any better to introduce the wellness company's emergency kits. The wellness company is the premier source for hard-to-get medications that may save a life. Be prepared for over 30 illnesses without stepping into an urgent care center. These kits include ivermectin, a Z-Pak, amoxicillin, even EpiPens, everything that you could need to take control of your health. Their guidebook outlines common treatments for UTI, strep throat, bacterial infections, bite wounds, respiratory illnesses, and much more. All it takes is to fill out a digital form and your kit arrives to your door in 1 to 2 weeks. They even have kits for kids. So order your kit now by heading to twc.health/Candace, and you can use code Candace to save up to $40 off plus get free shipping. That's twc.health/Candace and use code Candace to save up to $40 off plus free shipping for all United States residents, that is. Okay, Australia. Ha 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 ha. I have such a good story for you guys. I really love this. It's the reverse here. So let me just talk about me. I'm banned from Australia. I'm just way too controversial, right? And the group that specifically called for me to be banned from Australia because of my dangerous conspiracy theories and rhetoric, which had the potential to sow discord, was the Zionist Federation of Australia, okay? So I want you to listen to the CEO of the Zionist Federation of Australia, Alon Kasuto, basically celebrating the fact that Australia banned me. Right? Just amazing. It's just incredible to have that be a position from the Zionist Federation. Take a listen.
Banning Candace Owens?
Look, we do agree. Ultimately, this was a decision for the federal government, and the minister exercised the power that he has, and we welcome it. And we do this because we feel strongly that this is not about stopping free speech. It's actually about stopping hate speech. And we wrote to the minister urging him not to issue a visa. And we did this on the basis that we believe that Candace Owens' rhetoric is dangerous and harmful to Australia, and it's dangerous for our social cohesion. And as you mentioned just before, she's peddled some pretty extreme conspiracy theories, and it's coming at a time when Australian social cohesion's already at risk. So we've seen record levels of anti-Semitism, an increase of over 400% just in the last year. And these conspiracy theories have the potential to incite violence and harm, and that's what we firmly believe.
You see what he says there? It's not an attack on free speech. What they're doing is they're stopping hate speech. Not limiting free speech, they're limiting hate speech. And for them, the Zionist Federation, they can make up whatever they want. They can say it's hate speech. It's pretty much a speech that they don't like. So in a remarkable turn of events, this is so funny and so ironic. I basically hit them with the Uno reverse card. Australian government has just declined a visa for the former Israeli Justice Minister named Ayelet Shaked. Okay. And the Zionist Federation of Australia is freaking out. They're saying this is anti-Semitism. They can't believe that this woman has been banned. Now, I just want to tell you a couple of things that this woman has said, Ayelet Shaked, because oh my God, my rhetoric could possibly sow discord. This woman, in the wake of the Hamas October 7th attacks, she faced international criticism for an interview that she gave on Israel's Channel 13, in which she said that with God and the IDF's help, a city in southern Gaza would be turned into a soccer field. She also said this back in 2015 while serving as the capital. Sorry, not serving as capital. While she was serving, she said, "Who is the enemy? The Palestinian people. They should go, as should the physical homes in which they live in. As should the physical homes in which they raised their snakes. Otherwise, more little snakes will be raised here." Oh, not sowing discord, though. Don't worry, the Zionist Federation got you covered. Me, dangerous conspiracy theories. Her wanting to raise Gaza to the ground and also speaking about killing the children and making sure everybody's raised to the ground. That's understandable. Again, that was back in 2015 that she said that. She's been controversial for a while, calling for the genocide of Palestinians. And so that exact same group, the Zionist Federation of Australia, is outraged that her visa got banned. Here's what they actually posted. I'm going to show you the series. The Australian government's decision to refuse a visa to Ayelet Shaked is both baffling and deeply offensive. Ayelet is the former justice minister in the most diverse and centrist Israeli government in history, which included an Israeli Arab Party and minister. This refusal is particularly perplexing given that this very same government granted her a visa less than 2 years ago. Many Australians will rightfully ask, what has changed within the government between then and now? How is it conceivable that our government has granted a visa to a Palestinian man from Gaza who reportedly has had close family connections and personal interactions with terrorist organizations, reportedly, yet refuses entry to a former government minister of a democratic nation and one of our Australia's friends? You just can't make this up. And then she tweets and it's anti-Semitism. And I'm just sitting here like, reverse, back to you. Sorry, karma. I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you say sticks back to you. Na 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 boo boos. Sorry, don't care. Don't care. You don't get to decide when speech should be free, okay? You don't get to go, well, anybody that supports us can speak freely, and anybody who says maybe we shouldn't be killing a ton of Palestinian kids, they're not allowed in here. Okay, I'm sorry. I hope Australians are deep in your comments on Instagram, laughing at you and mocking you for the hypocrisy. It is an astounding level of hypocrisy. And I have to tell you something. I guess Israel is now saying, well, they're going to ban all Australians from Israel. I hate to tell them, nobody's trying to go to Israel right now. Like, it's just not. I don't think anyone's number one trip. No one's like, hey, why don't we go to Israel right now? There's like a lot of stuff, drama going on there. But it's just amazing because I feel like they need a better PR team. Like, Israel is just, I don't know, like falling on its face in the last year. So much has changed. It will never be the same. It will never be the same. And it's like all they have left with every gasp of air is to call everything anti-Semitic. Like, there's no reason this woman was denied from Australia. Calling for a genocide is not really an issue when you put it in the context of the fact that, like, there were some Arab people that were also in the government at the time that she was in government. Like, that's your excuse right there. And you guys are the ones who are always accusing other people of calling for genocides when they're just leveling honest critiques and asking questions of how many children can be killed before we're allowed to be concerned. And so at the same time, if this is happening, speaking of like more karma for calling everyone and everything anti-Semitic and threatening people's speech everywhere in the world for leveling some critiques at Israel for what it's doing right now, a government, okay? We're critiquing a government. Before I even tell you about Bibi Netanyahu and the ICC issuing an arrest warrant on him, I just want you to think logically through everything Israel is doing right now, like just how manipulative it is for them to say that critiquing Israel's government is anti-Semitism. It would be as ludicrous as if right now I said, critiquing Nigeria's government means you hate all black people in the world. You'd say, what? What are you talking about? I'm critiquing an African nation's government. Yes, but Africans live everywhere in the world. And so if you critique anything that the Zimbabwean government does, you are a racist against black people. How could they think that this logic, just with like enough censorship and banning, was just going to uphold? Obviously, it's not. You need to get somebody else in there. Hire me, by the way. For the right price, I can be hired. What's the budget? I can help you a little bit with your PR. Stop calling everything anti-Semitism. Answer some questions. Anyways, the ICC, that's the International Criminal Court, has issued an arrest warrant officially for Israeli Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. Now, by the way, you'll see this in the Western media, but there's so much more going on. They've also issued an arrest warrant for Yoav Gallant over war crimes in Gaza. Particularly, the arrest warrants are for starving children, killing children, crimes against humanity. They say they're not doing it. It's literally on our X feed. It's on our X feed. It's been on our X feed for an entire year. That's why I used my platform to say it's not okay, because I saw it. I saw children starving and dying on my X feed when Elon Musk freed the bird, and I just could not be spineless enough to not say that this is wrong. And I have faced the full ire of the mainstream media, the Western media, and I just don't care, because guess what? I'm a real Christian, and when I die, I'm going to have to account to the Lord, okay? And the Lord is not Israel. The Lord is not Bibi Netanyahu. And for those of you that think it is, you better plan some really good excuses if you think that God's not going to see right through that. Now, I want to show you a news clip. This is actually coming out of Fox today that further explains the ICC court stipulating that they wanted him to be arrested immediately. Take a listen.
The International Criminal Court now issuing arrest warrants on Thursday for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, his former defense minister, and Hamas officials, accusing them of war crimes and crimes against humanity over the war in Gaza and the October 2023 attacks that triggered Israel's offensive in the Palestinian territory. The decision turns Netanyahu and the others into internationally wanted suspects and is likely to further isolate them and complicate efforts to negotiate a ceasefire to end that 13-month conflict. But its practical implications could be limited since Israel and its major ally, the U.S., are not members of the court, and several of the Hamas officials have been killed in the conflict. Netanyahu and other Israeli leaders have condemned the ICC chief prosecutor, Karim Khan's request for those warrants as disgraceful and anti-Semitic. U.S. President Biden also blasting the prosecutor and expressing support for Israel's right to defend itself against Hamas. Hamas also slamming that request. Quote, the chamber considered that there are reasonable grounds to believe that both individuals intentionally and knowingly deprive the civilian population in Gaza of objects indispensable to their survival, including food, water, and medicine, and medical supplies, as well as fuel and electricity. That is a quote there from the 3-judge panel. They wrote that in their unanimous decision to issue warrants for Netanyahu and his former defense minister, Yoav Gallant.
So a couple of things. It's anti-Semitic, of course. Now, they're mentioning Yoav Gallant, and most of you probably have never heard of this because the Western media won't cover any of the stuff that's going on with Bibi Netanyahu within Israel. They just call everything anti-Semitic. But he is under investigation from Israel pertaining to the attacks on October 7th. He fired Yoav Gallant. There's been a massive scandal. Yoav Gallant has basically been saying that Bibi Netanyahu is up to some corruption because he won't allow them to investigate what took place on October 7th. According to their law, there needs to be an independent commission established so they can investigate what exactly went wrong because people had a lot of questions. Tiny little state the size of New Jersey. I've been to Israel, like Charlie Kirk said. You could get from one end to the other in 15 minutes in a helicopter, and yet this attack went on for 2 hours. So his own defense minister was calling him out on this, and then they discovered that his office was basically editing the transcripts from the cabinet meetings. So after October 7th, he had somebody, this is what they're alleging, and this is why his office was recently raided 2 weeks ago. Again, you will never hear this in Western media because everyone is on Apex payroll. They raided his office and are essentially being gagged now. There is a gag order in place, but what has made it out into the Israeli media is that this raid is in conjunction with people saying that he has been editing the transcripts and essentially trying to now pass through a law that makes it so that they can never investigate October 7th. A lot of questions there, right? If a terrorist attack happens on your soil, why would you not want every angle of that terrorist attack and all the things that went wrong to be investigated? These are questions you're never going to hear the Western media ask. I'm telling you because the things that we are being told about what is happening in that region, what will happen in that region, is just not honest. It's not accurate. It is one long advertisement for Israel, and it's falling. It's failing, truly. Israel is losing the PR war right now. And so now we're at the stage where they are calling for censorship and putting people on lists and stopping people from being able to travel if anything is questioned. And I think that in the end is in fact failing. I could be wrong, but that's what it looks like to me. Anyways, we will keep you alert on everything that's happening in that region because I know that we will not hear it from anybody else. We are following it, and it's interesting. Obviously, it's an escalation. Many people saying that this is now going to make Israel a pariah state. We'll see if that pans out to be true. And it should be said, like I always have said, I do not understand how the state of Israel has anything to do with Jewish Americans, why they are tying themselves to what this man, Bibi Netanyahu, is doing when you have even people like the most powerful Jew in America, who was a Zionist himself, Ari Emanuel, who once wrote a letter saying Kanye West is out of Hollywood. I mean, he's that powerful. When you have even him coming out and saying that Bibi Netanyahu is a selfish person who is motivated by selfishness and is actually putting Jews around the world at risk because he's selfish and hell-bent on doing whatever it is that he wants to do, maybe it's time to listen and stop just calling everything anti-Semitic. But what do I know? What do I know? I'm banned from Australia. Anyways, you guys, because I was telling you before we get into your comments, I have to show you this. Actually, I'll show it to you after because it's so funny and it's so brilliant and it makes me so happy. And it scratched that itch of me missing Kamala. It was a TikToker who did a wonderful impersonation. First, I'm going to remind you about 7 Weeks Coffee. Today's show is sponsored by 7 Weeks Coffee. Now, why are they called 7 Weeks Coffee? Because at 7 weeks, a baby is the size of a coffee bean, and it's the same time a heartbeat is clearly detected on an ultrasound. That's why they donate 10% of every sale to support pregnancy care centers across the country. They have raised over $500,000 for these centers and have saved over 5,000 lives. Now, I'll tell you about the coffee. I'm very picky about what I put into my body. It's mold-free, pesticide-free, shade-grown, low-acid, organically farmed. It checks all the boxes. And just in time for the holiday season, 7 Weeks Coffee is having their biggest promotion of the year. You can enjoy exclusive discounts, free gifts with every order, and new limited edition coffees. Whether you're looking for stocking stuffers or the perfect roast, 7 Weeks Coffee has you covered this Christmas season. So exclusively for my listeners, if you go to 7weekscoffee.com and use code Candace for up to 25% off, you will get on your order. Remember that your order will directly help support a network of over 900 pro-life organizations across the United States. Okay, now, quickly, you have to see this TikTok. Is going to make you laugh. Just listen to the sentences that is coming out of her mouth. This is, she's, I guess, a comedian. I had never heard of her, but she's got like millions of followers, and she is just speaking to her baby as though she is Kamala Harris. Enjoy.
Okay, I have to acknowledge you as for being a good boy. Okay, because you really are, all right? You are like a star, and there are stars, right? There are stars, and then there's the moon, and there's a difference, all right? You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying, right? And you land on a star, and you find yourself on the moon. We've been to the moon, okay? We've been. And as far as something that I've done wrong, well, I think that being, if extra attention on you means wrong, then, you know, I mean, take it for being a parent, okay? We all made mistakes being a parent, but you, my son, you are meant to be here. Everybody matters, and we're gonna give away toys to all the kids and all the moons, because every moon deserves a toy, all right? Okay? Okay, you have a pacifier in your mouth, and I don't, and that makes me your mom, all right? And Doug's a good husband, all right? We're going to Tahiti tomorrow, and you're not, no. I'm speaking.
She's just brilliant. That is a brilliant impersonation, a brilliant word salad. It filled my soul with warmth. If you guys want to follow her on TikTok, her name is Manon Matthews. Manon is spelled M-A-N-O-N. Last name Matthews with one T. Again, American comedian actress, and she is absolutely nailing that impersonation. All right, guys, let's get to your comments. Let's see what you guys have. What you guys are thinking about this Matt Gaetz nomination? What are you thinking about Jussie Smollett? Justice for should I start selling justice for Jussie? Justice for Jussie shirts? I don't know. What we are selling, by the way, before we get to your comments, we have Black Friday bundle deal still going. You guys immediately sold us out of the book bundle, so we ended up having to restock that. We now have 4 different bundles on the site. We have the Candace Life's Tough Get a Helmet shirts being sold. Get a helmet bundle. We have the Candace for God and Country bundle t-shirt. We have the Candace Christ is King bundle t-shirt. And of course, the Candace Blackout bundle, which I think we just restocked, that had the autograph book. Yes, each and every one of those books is actually autographed by me. So I've said I will sign some more. No two will be alike. I think it's really cheap and wrong when people sell books and they don't actually, like, they use a stamp or they use like a digital copy of their signature. It is such crap when people are actually spending their money. I never ever do that. I'd rather my hand be really sore. All right, guys, what are you saying in the comment section? Julie May says, what if Matt Gaetz' nomination and resignation was part of Trump's plan to remove him from office? What if he isn't on the right side? Trump seems to, okay, I'll find someone else. Just a thought. No, I think Trump genuinely loves Matt Gaetz because Matt Gaetz really fought hard for him. From the very second that things happened following January 6th, he has been just a staunch Trump supporter. So I do think truly that there were obviously some concerns because Trump has indicated very much that he wants this process of confirmations to move very quickly. That's why he's been tweeting about Congress being on recess. And so I truly do believe that this was about Trump going, listen, this is going to be a lot, and him saying, okay, I'm going to step down. It's Archie writes, it's not Jussie Smollett, Candace, it's Jussie Smollett in my Dave Chappelle voice. Yeah, I should have shown that clip, but we would have gotten hit so fast because you can't really show clips of Dave Chappelle on here without getting hit by whoever owns it, NBC, whatever. But that is a really good stand-up of him talking about what happened to Jussie Smollett. Absolutely brilliant. Sarah says, some of the best acting of Jussie's career. I agree. I agree, actually, because he wasn't that good on Empire. I tried to make it through an episode, and he just wasn't that great because he was playing a rapper or something, which is totally weird. But he sold it to me. I mean, I was convinced that white people were going around dropping bleach on black people during a polar vortex, because obviously everybody knows that black people love the cold. We are always out there during a polar vortex. Not. But I know that, it made me think maybe I should be scared because people are just dumping bleach going, turn white, turn white, turn white, Candace, do it. But then we found out it wasn't true, so I could sleep well. I could sleep well again. Libby Page writes, do the two Nigerian brothers have a podcast? Because I could watch them all day. I told you there's something about Nigerians. I told you this yesterday or the day before. I don't know. I tell people I'm Nigerian. I'm gonna start just saying I am Nigerian. Nobody can tell me I'm not Nigerian. Everybody can be whatever they want to be nowadays. But I am a Nigerian stan. They are funny. They have very good values, and they work hard. As you see, they were working hard, and unfortunately, their boss got them mixed up into some criminal proceeding. But they told the truth from start to finish. Roseanne Alicia Rutherford writes, Nikki Haley is like Hillary with no cream or sugar, bitter and tasteless. Yeah, I really don't like her. She's on my list high up. You know my list, the list that I have? I can't say it on YouTube, but the list that I have? Yeah, Zelensky's at the top, and Nikki Haley's she's in the top 4. I'll tell you that for free. There's just something about her. It's just the fact that she's a fraud and she's lying all the time and that she's so obviously a deep state stooge. Murr writes, it baffles me how some people, even in this comment section, say it's okay to kill Palestinian children because they are future terrorists. Can't they see that oppression births resistance? Yeah, I mean, that's literally, if you want to talk about literally Hitler logic, just kill everybody off because they're all going to be future terrorists. It's terrible, but you have to really understand this is the first time that I think a lot of Americans are breaking out of the brainwash, because in the same way that you did have to have some compassion towards Black people who were rioting the streets following BLM and all of this stuff, and you're going, what is this coming from? Why do they think there's racism everywhere? They're conditioned to believe that in the school system, that the white man's always around the corner, that they're constantly being oppressed. So it creates this bubble within them that when something happens, they just go absolutely crazy. And the next thing you know, they're stealing flat screen TVs because they're convinced that slavery is right around the corner. And then Black people kind of that spell broke, and now it's being pulled back, and you're seeing that Black people are now voting for Trump. I say the same thing about Jewish Americans and the public at large, in that we also just spend a remarkable amount of time in school learning about the Holocaust. We don't learn about very many other genocides or any genocides at all in the same regard. It's an insistence on this narrative. And so this fear of oh my gosh, we should defend the Jews no matter what is something that's very much instilled in us. And so it was very hard for me to reconcile my feeling towards wanting to make sure Jewish Americans are safe with recognizing that what Bibi Netanyahu was doing was actually taking advantage of and manipulating those emotions that he knows that are instilled in us. And I just said, you know what, no more with this. And so give people time, be patient. You can see that that's starting to change, and people are realizing we're actually removing ourselves from our humanity and allowing bad things to happen, like the white people that supported BLM. And they were yes, they need the flat screen TVs at Target. And I was early going no, that's not how it works. But with time and with emotion removed and with just this many children dying, people do come to and are able to clarify their perspective. So I always just say have patience and tell the truth and remain on the side of goodness. All right, guys. I also want to tell you we sold out of the Make Kamala Indian Again hats, but we just put them back up. You guys were messaging us, emailing us, made Kamala Indian again. It's back in stock. We have a very limited number. So if you're trying to get this to surprise someone at Christmas, today is your day to do it. I would imagine we're going to be sold out again very quickly, probably by the beginning of next week, but they're back up again. And yeah, I think that's it. If you guys want to support the show, you know where to go, locals.com. Keep us independent because we're still not monetized on YouTube. YouTube hates us. They hate us. They hate us real good. And you know what? We hate them right back. I'm just kidding. Don't do anything to me, YouTube. Don't do anything to me, YouTube. But you guys keep the show free. It allows us to do what we do and not have to worry about threats from federations of Zionism that sometimes come in your life. Let me stop before I get into trouble. I'm off. I'll see you guys tomorrow.